So a lot of people believe the Beelzemon deck is too slow, can't keep up with things like Melga X. It's a rogue tier deck. It's a jank deck. You shouldn't run it. It's not going to do well in a big tournament, especially something like Ultimate Cup. Well, let's see. Welcome back, I am CK from Valley Boys Digimon TCG. So today I'm going to talk about the Beelzemon deck, specifically my build that I ran yesterday at the November 12th Ultimate Cup. Now I ran the deck fully intending to lose most of my matchups. I didn't expect it to do crazy well, anything like that. I was hoping to get that fringe, maybe top 128, just to get me a jamming Beemon, something like that. But the deck actually ran surprisingly well. And with the exception of my very first round, which I bricked game 1 and 3, didn't see a rookie till turns 3 and 4, something like that. With the exception of that, everything else ran pretty smooth, and it did surprisingly well. So well, in fact, that I got 46th place, which is out of nowhere for a Beelzemon deck, for something in the rogue tier to do that well. And surprisingly, that round 1 that I heavily bricked was against a Metal Gururu X. Of course, if you brick, you're slow. If you're slow, you won't keep up with Melga X. Now, aside from that first round, every other Metal Gururumon deck that I played against, and I played 4 of them, including the very final 9th round, I beat. So maybe Beelzemon does work out pretty well against the Metal Gururumon X meta. Like I said, this is a jank rogue tier deck, but it is a lot of fun, and when it goes off, it goes off. Now, it's not without its weaknesses. Obviously, there's some very key matchups that you will not do well against. Specifically for me, I believe Blue Flare is a very tough matchup, and Security Control or Ofani Loop or any of those that have a lot of heavy recovery tend to be a little tricky, specifically the Mastemon, Ofani Loop type things. Chaos Degradation kind of ruins things for you, and then all that recovery just slows you down big time. But aside from those two, it actually does pretty well against a lot of other things as long as it can get its pieces going. So in this video, we're going to go through the deck list, talk about some key cards, some things that I may tweak, some things that I found very useful, some things that were less useful than I thought they would be, and some insight I learned throughout the tournament for the deck moving forward. Again, this tournament was BT10 only since EX3 was just launched the day before, so it may not be as viable in EX3, but I think it still can hold its own. Like I said, it is a rogue deck, but it surprised a lot of people, and it surprised me being able to get into the top 64, placing 46, going 6 and 3 overall. I think it had a chance to go 7 and 2 if it weren't for that really bad first round. Now, for those of you that don't want to stick around to the end of the video and discuss the entire deck and just want that screen cap of what the entire deck looks like, I'll give you the image right here. Wait, why would I do that? Why would I not want you to stick around? Of course I want you to stick around. Why would I give it all the way now? You got to stick around to the end to check it out. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's right here. So you see, this is the deck that I ran with. And for those of you still here that want to check it out, let's go to the deck list. Anybody who's seen any videos on our channel knows I like to play jank. So to start off this build, let's start off with the eggs. We are running 4 of your starter deck 6 Pagumon and 1 of the old BT2 Pagumon. This Pagumon is obviously our most important egg, that's why you run 4 of it. It helps turbo the trash on deletion, especially when you have the original Itmon on top of him, which is kind of what you want to do first turn. If you get that Itmon, go over this Pagumon swing, and you're already trashing 5 cards in your first swing. This one's not as efficient, but it still works when attacking. Trash top card of your deck, still good. So we run 5 eggs. I know there's other ones that we could run, but I like the trashing. Again, this deck wants to be trashing. So, of course, we run 4 of the BT2 Itmon on deletion, trash 3. We run 4 of the EX2 Itmon, he is our searcher in this deck. On play, reveal the top 4 cards and add 1 card with Beelzemon in its name and 1 Iron Mako among them, and then place the remaining to the bottom. It would be nice if the remaining would go to trash, but still a good search effect. And then his other effect that makes him really effective is that when this card is trashed from your deck, which obviously we do from a lot of our effects, you can trash up to 3 additional cards from the top of your deck. So he really helps turbo out our mills. And then we run only 1 Impmon from BT6. He is on play. You can trash a card from your hand. If you do, return 1 Digimon card with 7 Great Demon Lords or 3 Musketeers. He comes in handy more if you are running a Beelstar deck. He doesn't hit all the time in this deck. Now he's great if you have a blast mode in hand and you need to get into the trash. He's a great way to get it in there because he won't pull it back out since blast mode is just a demon lord, not a 7 Great Demon Lord. Another thing to take note of is the new Beelzemon that came out in BT10 is also a demon lord and cross hearts. He is not a 7 Great Demon Lord. So we play 9 Impmon, and then we play a few floodgates. So of course 2 Psychmon, in case you run into any Digicross decks, which came out in BT10, and then 1 Gazimon. Now, Psychmon I thought I would have more use out of, but because of the death of Cross Hearts deck, he really didn't come up that often. When I played the Blue Flare, he was there to help with the Blue Flare matchup a little bit, but honestly, because they play so much of the Blazing Blue Memory Boost, I feel like Gazimon would be the better card in that matchup. So going forward, I may switch it to have 2 Gazi and only 1 Psychmon, because I feel like the Crossheart thing didn't pan out so much, but he's a good counter for Death X if you feel it coming. Just drop him on the board and then they can't run that Death X without removing him. Just 2 cards or 3 Floodgates on top of our 9 Impmon, just running 12 rookies. Works out for the most part. I only had 1 game, my first round, where I couldn't find a rookie, so chalk it up to, you know, bricking. It happens from time to time. Now, next card, we have 4 of the promo Wizardmons. Now, this is a great card to have for multiple reasons. When it's trashed from your deck, gain 1 memory. Obviously, we're constantly trashing from the deck, so as long as they don't have any sort of memory blockers on board, there's lots of ways to gain memory in this deck, and this is one of them. When it's trashed, gain memory. His Inherited is also really good. When attacking, you may reveal 1 purple card from your hand and then place it on top of your deck. Now we can choose and stack our effects. It says a purple card, not a purple Digimon, just any purple card. So if we have an option that has a good mill effect, we have another Wizardmon in hand, or if we have the EX2 Impmon and we want to turbo our mills, and we know that we're going to trash when attacking, especially if you have, let's say, the Pagumon here that when attacking trash a card, you'll trigger his, place the card on top, then trash it, and then get your effects off. So he is very, very imperative to this deck. Next, I'm running 2 Soulmon. Now, originally, Soulmon was my go-to level 4 in this deck. I really like his Inherited effect. Your turn, once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, gain a memory. So let's say we were swinging with EX2 Beelzemon, who trashes 2. Let's say we trash a Wizardmon, gain a memory, and then gain another memory with Soulmon. There's lots of ways for memory gain in this deck that helps us keep our plays alive. And he's only a 4 play cost, which is also very nice. You can slam him down for 4. But due to deck space, I had to reduce him to 2 because I found it seemed enough that 2. Didn't really miss him that much. I found the Wizardmon more handy. One thing I recently added was going back to add 2 Blocker Devimons. Blocker comes up here and there. It's great to stop the little guys from swinging in case somebody floods the board with rookies. Great way to slow things down, but also our 1-cost Evo to turbo us up into our Beelzemon. That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get mills and we're trying to turbo up into Beelzemon. So Devimon came up. 1 Dobermon. Now I know a lot of people like to run extra Dobermons because he has a great effect of 1, when you would play a card from your hand, reduce its play cost by 2 if you have Alice McCoy. I no longer run Alice McCoy in this deck, so he just didn't feel as effective. But his on deletion effect, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, then return 1 purple Digimon card or 1 purple Tamer from your trash to your hand. So, like I said, I removed the Alice McCoy so I don't have as many Tamers, so he's a great way to get our Iron Makos back in case they get trashed. So another One of, and then of course your obligatory hybrid, right? Hybrid for game. Hybrid for game came up a few times in the tournament. I'm glad I had him in the deck. And there's ways to bring him back from trash. Doberman dies. Let's say we swing for Doberman, he dies. We get to pull Loemon back from the trash. So 10 champions right there, 10 level 4s. Now moving on to the level 5s. I run 3 Balmon, 2 Skull Sadamon, 1 Black War Growl, and 1 Neo Devimon. Let's start with Balmon. So Balmon has the effect of, when attacking, you may trash 3 cards from the top of your deck. Great for getting our mills in, but what makes him so good is his on deletion effects. On deletion, if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you may play 1 Beelzemon from your trash without paying its memory cost. Great way to get a free Beelzemon on board. You only need 10 in trash, and obviously one of them needs to be a Beelzemon for you to get his effect off. I did find that, even though I could get my trash set up pretty quickly, I felt like he wasn't dying as often as I needed him to, with the exception being matchup against red or matchup against Black War Greymon. They had some effects where they wanted to swing so they could get that restand, so they did pierce into him and was able to get proc the effect there. But honestly, it wasn't as used as I thought it would be. The trashing was great because it's one attacking, so if I swung trash 3, if he didn't die on that, usually my opponent doesn't want to swing into him because I'm set up. They don't want me to go to a free level 6, so they would leave him alone. I was free to swing, get another 2 checks or another 3 mills on the next turn. Now Skull Sadamon. Skull Sadamon was one of my favorite, and I think I may switch it back to 3 Skull Sada and 2 Balmon. Now, when Digivolving, trash the top 2 cards of your deck, then return 1 card with Demon Lord in its traits from your trash or to your hand. Now, it's Demon Lord, not 7 Great Demon Lord, which is important because not all the Beelzemons are 7 Great Demon Lords. This also lets me bring back my blast modes. So, Skull Sadamon also has the inherited, same as Soulmon. When a card is trashed from your deck, gain 1 memory. Now, there's a beautiful combo with Skull Sada and Soulmon that, let's say your opponent gives you 2 memory. Let's say you're going second, your opponent gives you 2 memory. You Digivolve in Raising on your first turn, you Digivolve into Soulmon for that 2 memory, and then you Digivolve into Skull Sadamon to pass the turn back. Your next turn, you can go into the EX2 Beelzemon for 1 cost, because on Evo, EX2 Beelzemon mills 2. That will proc both Skull Sada and Soulmon to gain a memory back. So you will mill 2 and then gain 2 memory back. Off of that 3 cost Evo becomes a 1 cost Evo. Now if you mill a Deathslinger or a promo Wizardmon, now you have a free Beelzemon. Or you could potentially gain 1 off your Evo, depending on how it's all set up. So Skull Sadamon Inherited is a great way to get into Beelzemon cheap. Now Black War Growl was one that I used to run more, but I reduced him when Balmon dropped. Great way to add some heavy aggression. If you can get Black War Growl set up with a Beelzemon, and then you can swing, go into blast mode and unsuspend. Blast mode's checking for 2 or 3 checks usually easily. Most of the time I'm checking 3 checks with blast mode. If he can survive 3 and restand and check again, it's just a lot of aggression. Your opponent really can't come back from it. He did come in clutch for 1 match, but he didn't come in as much or as often as I needed him to. I found enough aggression swinging with my smaller ones, so I'm fine running him at 1. And then Neo Devi. Neo Devi was my 1 tech to go against a lot of the kind of re-emergence of the Tamer meta. Neo Devimon's effect being when an opponent plays a Tamer, gain 3 memory. So now that 4 cost Kiriha is a 7 cost Tamer. Again, a lot of this was originally built to counter decks like Crossheart, Blue Flare, and even some Dark Knightmon. I didn't run into him. I didn't run into any of them except Blue Flare. The Ultimate Cup I ran into basically a lot of BT9 decks. Those are still prominent. BT10 didn't really change the meta that much because of the hit to Crosshearts. But he's still nice to have when an opponent plays a Tamer, gain 3 memory. That's great. Really makes them rethink on playing their Tamers, especially if they're a Tamer reliant deck. And then his Inherited as well. When an opponent's Tamer becomes suspended, gain 1 memory. So Blue Flare being a problem deck for this to go against, it's nice to either slow them down from playing their Tamers, or if I have the Inherited, whenever they try to proc their Digicross or Kitty Hawk, he has to become suspended to play out the sources, so gain a memory off of that. So cost them a little extra. If they think, oh, I have 3 memory to go into my Metal Greymon, you proc this opponent's turn effect, and now it's a 4 cost, it's back to your turn if they only have the 3 memory. So 7 level 5s felt fine to me, didn't really feel like I needed any more than that. Now we have our level 6s, and surprise surprise, we are running all Beelzemons. So EX2 Beelzemon, let's start there. Probably the most important one for this deck, for this playstyle. EX2 Beelzemon, now it has a when digivolving and when attacking effect, and those are not once per turn effects. So when you digivolve, you may trash the top 2 cards from your deck, then delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in your trash, add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. It's very easy to digivolve into him, mill 2, and just pop any sort of rookie that may be a floodgate for your deck, as well as we turbo mill our deck. So he's easily to popping level 4s when attacking. And like I said, it's when digivolving and when attacking, so you can Evo, pop something, then swing, trash another 2, pop something else. Oftentimes I can get into 20 in the trash very easily, just the way this deck mills like crazy. So we're popping level 5s just for swinging. So only needing 10 to pop a level 4 means you're pretty much popping blockers or anybody that's going to try to slow you down. He also has the effect, when this card is trashed from your deck, you may play 1 Itmon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So that's a great way to get extra bodies on board. Let's say you have the promo Itmon under his stack, you can swing, stack another one of him back on top of your deck, and then when it gets milled, play an Itmon from trash. So now you're going wide with the effect. You can also combine that. Let's say we have the promo Itmon, War Growl, and then him. We're swinging, trashing, getting Itmon out, then War Growl, pop that Itmon to get extra mills, swinging in, all sorts of different things that we can get going off of that effect. The fact that it's not once per turn means we can double mill again with War Growl. Lots of great options. Now I'm running one of the old BT2 secret Beelzemon. He doesn't come up too often, honestly, but it's great to have that option to warp, especially if you get one of these out to get a free Itmon in, and then just digivolve for warp digivolve for a cost of 4 and blow up one of their level 4 Digimon, or level 4 or lower Digimon. So a nice little counter, get a big body on board, get up to a level 6 pretty fast, but like I said, don't need it as often. Now this is the new Beelzemon that came out in BT10, and his effect is pretty interesting. It being that on play or when digivolving, you trash the top 3 cards, or you may trash the top 3 cards of your deck. Then for every 10 cards in your trash, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So if they've gone wide, you can just knock this down and do a couple deletions. You can delete on digivolving, which is obviously a great way to do it. It's not as strong as the EX2, which adds a level, but it can multi-delete, which is a big thing for it. The other thing is it's also on play. So if your Balmon gets deleted, this is what you want to bring out of trash. Play him, on play he'll mill, and then he'll delete something. He also has an an inherited effect, which is different from the other Beelzemons. His inherited effect, end of attack once per turn. For every 10 cards in your trash, gain a memory. So let's say we play him, we use our Ian Mako effect to swing with him, use the effect to digivolve into blast mode, go into blast mode for 3 on swinging, end of attack if he survives however many checks. Let's say we have 20 in trash. We digivolve for 3, destroyed 3 checks because we have 20 in trash, and then because of that 20, we'll gain 2 memory back. So we've we've essentially digivolved into blast mode from trash for a cost of 1. So great inherited. Now one thing to keep in mind is that his traits are Demon Lord and Crossheart. He is not a 7 Great Demon Lord like the other Beelzemon. So just think of it as, you know, Biker Beelzemon is a 7 Great Demon Lord. This little White Knight Beelzemon, not a 7 Great Demon Lord, just a basic Demon Lord. So you can't get him back from the Hitmon that pulls a 7 Great Demon Lord. So keep in mind that he's a Demon Lord, not a 7 Great Demon Lord. That came up once, realizing in game that I couldn't pull him back, which was fine. He's not really somebody I want to pull back. I like to play him from the trash using Balmon's effect. Now, of course, this wouldn't be the deck without Blast Mode. Blast Mode here is our main level 7, and we want to get him up there with the Iron Mako effect. Now, if he is milled, and which is fine because again, Iron Mako lets us digivolve into him from trash, which is what we want to do. But when this card is trashed from your deck, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So we can get rid of blockers, we can get rid of any sort of floodgate Digimon. Then his other effect, when digivolving, delete all your opponent's Digimon with the highest level. So if your opponent has 2 level 6s out, boom, they're both gone just for going into blast mode. And then of course your turn, for every 10 cards in your trash, this Digimon gains security attack +1. We easily mill into about 20 in trash, so he's usually checking for 3 checks when he comes out. I originally had 3 blast modes in deck. I decided to drop 1 to make room for 1 Death X. Death X is just too powerful not to keep in the deck. If we're blocked from play cost, he still digivolves over a Beelzemon for a cost of 6. So I can still use him to digivolve or hard play, whatever works for me. He did come up in the tournament, so I'm definitely going to keep him in there as my one of in this deck. Now, I mentioned we're running Iron Mako. This is the key tamer for this deck. It is a memory tamer. It also has the effect of your turn when you attack with a Digimon. You may suspend this tamer to trash the top card of your deck. Then, if that attacking Digimon is Beelzemon, you can go into blast mode from your trash for a cost of 3. So this tamer is our main effect to get our blast mode evo from trash. I only run 3. I'm kind of leaning towards going back to 4 just because there was one game where I ended up milling all 3 and I couldn't get him back from the trash because I had already milled my Doberman. But for the most part, that was only once in 9 rounds. That was only one game in 9 rounds of play. So I think 3 is still fine just because of the deck space we're working with. I run 3 Death Slingers. It used to be 4, but I had to make space for other cards in this deck. When it's trashed your deck, gain 1 memory, which obviously we're milling a lot from the deck, so he comes up, but another great way to gain memory. Another thing is his main effect is delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower, and then for every 10 cards in your trash, add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. Now, we are obviously turbo milling. Easy to get 10 in the trash, almost turn 1 we can. So he's 4 cost to pop a level 5. Can we get 20 in the trash? Now we're popping a level 6 at a 4 cost. So he's very easy to pop a lot of things. Another thing that came up, and originally I wasn't too crazy about this card, but because of how often it came in clutch for me in the tournament, I really grew a love for this card, and that is Death the Cannon. It's Purple Gaia Force. It is Purple Gaia Force. Its trashing effect is when this card is trashed from your deck, return it to your hand. So we don't have to feel bad about accidentally milling it, because if it gets revealed on a mill, it comes back to hand. And its main, delete one of your opponent's level 6 or lower. Then, if there are 10 or more cards in your trash, add 1 to the maximum level you can delete with this effect. If this gets revealed in security, activate this card's main effect. There was a turn in which a Melga X player went in for the big play. They hit this in security. Boom. Their big stack was gone. I really fell in love with this card, and I may consider getting a second one in the deck. It doesn't need it, but it would be nice. 1 Calling from Darkness, one of the best purple option cards, which is why it was limited to 1. Of course, we got to keep it in there. For a 1 cost, delete one of your Digimon, then return up to 2 purple Digimon cards from your trash to hand. You all know what this does. You don't need anybody on board because as long as you have a purple source in Raising or a Tamer, you can play the option, and if you have no Digimon to delete, you can still grab 2 from the trash. Now, the other ones, the last 3 cards I run. 2, Missed Memory Boost. One of the most popular Memory Boost cards that people are running for purple because it helps fill our trash, right? Main, trash the top 2 cards of your deck, then draw 1. And then, of course, delay, gain 2 memory. Now, what's funny about this is because of our other mill effects, let's say we mill a promo Wizardmon and a Deathslinger. Well, now this became a 1 cost memory boost, which is nice. Now, the last one I teched in because I realized we're turboing up our trash. Calling from Darkness was our really, really strong card to pull from trash because of how much we're milling. Since that got limited, I realized this actually kind of came in clutch for me a few times, and that is Glaive Memory Boost. Main, return 1 purple Digimon card from your trash to your hand, then place this in your battle area. And of course, its delay effect to gain 2 memory. We fill our trash so much, sometimes we mill a Digimon that we need. This is a way to get it back. There was a game in which I had a missed memory boost on field, and I needed to hybrid for game, but my one of Loemon was in the trash. So, play Glaive Memory Boost for 3 at the start of my turn because I had 3. Pull Loemon back, pop the mist that was on field, and now I can hybrid for game. Glaive Memory Boost is actually a pretty clutch card to replace our missing Calling from Darkness, especially with how much we mill in this deck. So that is all the options. We run 8 options, quite a bit, but overall the deck ran really well. There's not much I would change. The only thing I think I would change is my numbers on the Skull Satamon and the Balmon, and of course my Floodgates. I think I would prefer a second Gazimon over the Psychmon because Gazimon, when he was out, made a bigger impact to the game than Psychmon did. So overall, the deck ran pretty well, much better than I anticipated. I thought I was going to deck myself out a lot more. The security control matchup was mainly the one that caused me to deck out. My testing, I was decking out too often, so I was playing a little more conservative this time around. The Beelzemon when attacking, and the EX2 Itmon, when you mill him, you may trash an additional up to 3. So I was being a little more conservative, wasn't always milling to the max because I didn't want to deck myself out, because in my testing I was doing that quite often. In my 4 matchups with Metagurumon X, I only lost 1 of them, and that was the first round, and that was the time that I was bricking very heavily. Game 1, I didn't see a brookie till turn 3 and 4. Game 2, I took that. Game 3, same thing happened. No rookie till turn 3 or 4. So that really hurt me because I couldn't get my mills going, and I was just, you can't give too much memory right off the bat to Metagurumon. You can't be passing turn because they're just going to build up and wipe you. So, it actually has a pretty good matchup against Metagurumon X. Death the Cannon was very clutch in a lot of those matchups. And then, again, my matchups were round 1, Metagurumon X. That's the one I lost. That was my heaviest brick, but it was good to get the brick out of the way early in the day because the rest of the day, it ran pretty well. After round 1 loss, it was 5 straight wins, and that was against the Black War Greymon or Gaomon deck, a Jessmon deck, then 2 more Metagurumon X's, both wins, and then a security control. That one was my trickiest one. I had to play very, very carefully to get around that. We went to the very end of time. Obviously, security control tends to take a lot longer. The player I was up against, I get it, we're all tired, but he had, you know, we try to be friendly when we first start the game. I was like, you know, hey, how's it going? How are your matches been? And the first thing he did was complain, say that he had some unfun matches. This was before I knew what he was playing. And then when I realized he was playing security control, I'm like, bro, you're the unfun match. Nobody wants to play security control. You're the unfun one. I think it was about round 6 that we played. So he was, I'm going to chalk it up to him just being tired, but he was a pretty moody player leave it at that. Everybody else that day was great. Everybody I played against was really nice, really warm-spirited. Even in round 9, 9.5 hours later from playing all day, and my final opponent was super nice, real cool guy, and it was great. After that security control, that's when I started losing. I had lost back-to-back. First one was Blue Flare. The Blue Flare player is the one who came in 9th place, so, you know, hats off to him. He's obviously a really good player, taking Blue Flare that high, showing that Blue Flare is probably the better Digicross deck right now. Grandis, I lost to Grandis. Could not get up fast enough. He was able to delete me before I could delete him. It was kind of, we're both going for the aggro play, but Grandis can do so much with so little memory, so that was my problem. And then again, like the very last match was again my 4th Metagurumon X matchup, and I was able to take that one. So Metagurumon X being the biggest deck in the format again, I felt good about my matchups against them. If I hadn't bricked that first game so much, I probably could have won all my matchups with Metagurumon X, which would have given me an extra win. But then, of course, it would have shifted who I played against. But knowing that it did that well against Metagurumon X made me feel good about the deck. So, like I said, small changes I would make, but overall, I'm happy with the way it runs. I don't know if there's anything in EX3 that I would change about it, but hey, I know 46th place isn't that impressive for a lot of people, but I'm not a competitive player. Obviously, if you've seen the other videos, I like to play jank decks. I like to play casual games. So for a casual player to take a rogue deck all the way up to top 64, top 10%, because out of 46th place and 470 players, 46 is top 10%, right? So that's not bad for a casual player to take a jank rogue deck that far. You know, and I played against good decks. I didn't play against anything that was not meta viable, right? Metagurumon X, Black War Greymon, Jess, Security Control, Blue Flare, Grandis. All pretty strong decks. But like I said, the deck ran well and against the meta. Who would have thought Beelzemon? You would expect Minerva to be the main purple, and there were some Minerva players that did pretty well. But I decided to go Beelzemon, and I had fun. It's a great deck. I may continue using it in the future, but I'm pretty sure EX3 I'm going to do something like the Fish Spam, Aegis Dramon deck, stuff like that. Like I said, I don't play competitive. I play casual. It's all about fun for me. So anyway, that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Do you have anything you want to throw at me of what you think would make the deck flow better, or what your opinions are on it? Or if you just want to give a shout out, say you're going to try the deck, hey, let me know. Let me know about your builds. But guys, I'm CK from Valley Boys Digimon TCG. Till next time.